Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 2025-2026 ESSA Consolidated Application Statewide Virtual Training conducted by the Federal Fiscal Compliance and Reporting Division, Federal Program Compliance Division, Grants Administration Division, and the Emergent Bilingual Support Division. We'll begin with a few training norms.
Before the training begins, let's briefly go over today's session norms to ensure everyone is aware of the various features available to attendees within the Zoom webinar platform. This session is being conducted in a Zoom webinar format, meaning that you will not be able to share audio nor video with each other or with the presenter. Closed captioning in the form of a live transcript and subtitles that are automatically generated by the Zoom webinar platform will be available at today's training. To access the closed captioning features, locate the closed captioning live transcript icon on the Zoom menu bar and click on it. The menu will provide you the options to show subtitles, view the full transcript as the training takes place, and additional subtitle settings. If you would like to ask a question, you will be able to type it in the Q&A window. The Q&A window can be accessed by clicking on the icon on your Zoom menu bar. To ensure that there is enough time to share all the content, questions will be responded to at the end of the presentation. That wraps up the session norms for today's training. Enjoy the training.
So this training is being recorded and will be posted online in the Grants Administration Division Resources webpage that you could see online. Additionally, we will be posting a statewide training frequently asked question document with all the questions that were asked in the Q&A. So again, if just a reminder, please put all your questions in the Q&A and not in the chat so that we can keep track of all the questions. Individuals will be responding as we go through the presentation in writing, and we'll provide those responses within 2 weeks after today's training. In the chat, we have put in links to let us know you are here by completing the attendance check-in form. If you could please do that. And also the handouts have been posted online and can be accessed using the link that has been shared in the chat. So our legal disclaimer is as follows. This presentation is intended solely to provide general information and guidance to Texas LEAs, ESCs, nonprofit subgrantees, and participating private schools receiving equitable services. The content in this presentation reflects the Texas Education Agency's current understanding of statute and applicable federal guidance. The content of this presentation is subject to change as a result of future guidance and/or other updates provided by federal agencies with regulatory oversight of these programs. This presentation does not constitute legal advice, and entities are therefore advised to seek legal counsel regarding the information and guidance provided in this presentation before acting upon the information provided. Additionally, we'd like to add that the Texas Education Agency does not permit third-party recording or the use of artificial intelligence summary services during its grant-related trainings. Attendees of TEA's grant-related trainings may not use AI services, language models, applications, interfaces, or assistance to attend, review, or record the trainings. TEA further prohibits any person or entity from using the information included in its grant-related trainings to train AI technologies. Any attendees of TEA's grant-related trainings who violate this prohibition may be removed from the trainings and may be barred from attending future grants-related trainings. So during this training, we hope that you're going to be gaining a better understanding of the different parts of the 25-26 ESSA Consolidated application, how to complete the application, and the resources that are being made available to you for completing the application. I'd like to start off by mentioning the names of the various contributors and individuals that you're going to be hearing from today. This is a coordinated effort among multiple divisions at the Texas Education Agency. This is the second year that we provide a comprehensive training on the ESSA Consolidated application. Joining us from the Federal Fiscal and Compliance Reporting Division are Laura Wake and Nelly Nino. In the Federal Program Compliance Division, we have yours truly, Jaime Huerta. We have Didi Garcia, Lenitra Guess, Idalia Ibanez, Nes Paniagua Jimenez, Gerardo Ramirez, Victoria Rivera, and Vivian Smurl. From the Grants Administration Division, we have Lori Marquardt, Tammy Michaels, and Tasha Clifton Rowland. And from the Emergent Bilingual Support Division, we have Ricky Santayana. So for today's training, we're going to be training on the application in multiple parts. So we'll start off with information related to how to access the application. Then we'll move into the various program schedules. We'll have a short morning break, continue with the program schedules. Then we will break for lunch, continue with the program schedules, then go into the budget schedules. We'll have an afternoon break, close out with some application review, amendments, and closing information. And then we have a special section of the training at the end of the day related to shared services arrangements. So at this time, I'll turn it over to my colleagues in Grants Administration to start the training on accessing the application.
Good morning. My name is Lori Marquardt, and I'm in the Grants Administration Division in the Negotiation Unit. I'm going to be going through how to access the application first. There are certain steps required to access the application. I will be discussing schedules you'll need to complete, including the SC 5003 and ADC in order to have access to the application. Okay, let's start with eGrants access. So you want to make sure that staff that are working on the application have access. So you want to make sure that they have selected the correct roles in order to access the application. In a couple slides later, I will go over how to select the correct role, and there's a chart that we will go over. Okay, so first what you'll want to do is log in to the TEA website. And on the popular applications ribbon, there is a TEA login. So you'll want to log in to access eGrants. I wanted to also mention that under Finance and eGrants, or Finance and Grants, that there is a lot of information regarding grants, and it also includes entitlements. Okay, now we're going to talk about accessing Teal. So if you already have a username and password, you're going to want to enter that here. If not, you're going to want to request new user account and then follow the steps to receive an account. If you need assistance, you can always contact your negotiator for assistance. And then you want to remember to always clean up and delete old access. You want to review your staff roles periodically and delete roles that no longer are required. Okay, now we will talk about eGrants access. Under teal, there are several applications that you can apply for. There's expenditure reporting and Ask Ted. But to get into the application, you're going to want to select eGrants. Okay, so eGrants roles and privileges. This I just want to kind of go over this chart. On the left shows the roles. So there's grantee official, grantee manager, grantee staff, grantee writer, and grantee viewer. And then on the top, there are different areas. There's contacts, compliance reports, grants, special collections, and document library. The grantee official role will be the one that you can do almost everything with. The grantee manager role, you'll be able to negotiate applications, but you will not be able to delete drafts. And then for eGrants, the grantee staff and grantee viewer will have view only. And then under the contacts tab, we just wanted to remind you that except for grantee viewer, everybody has the ability to modify information. And then under the special collections tab, only a grantee official and grantee manager can submit changes. There's also a how-to video that's pretty short that is over on the right-hand side that shows you the eGrants roles and privileges. So that would be great to review. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dee Dee to go over the resources.
Thank you, Lori. I am going to go over the resources that are available on the website and to help you navigate the ESSA Consolidated application. Under the TEA website, there is on the TEA ribbon, there is a link to grant opportunities, and that'll take you to a page that you can search for any application within TEA under grants. You would search for the ESSA Consolidated application, and you'll see a wealth of resources available for the application. You can see what the sample application looks like. We have the program guidelines, and the program guidelines will tell you what are the requirements for each program within the consolidated application. You have the general and fiscal guidelines. You have the provisions and assurances. You have the general, the ESSA, and the program specific provisions and assurances. So I recommend that you do read those fully to ensure exactly what you're certifying within the application as to what you're going to do for each program. You also have the REAP eligibility list, the SC 5000 Title I Part A Campus Selection Handbook, the private nonprofit school equitable services resource link. It also gives you all the due dates for the application as far as the application designation and certification, or ADC, when it's going to be available, when the application is available, and what that due date is, your last amendment due date, along with expenditure reporting due dates. You will also have information as far as who you can contact for program questions and funding contact information. also within the application itself, each schedule has a link for instructions. So you have, if you are not certain as to how to complete a schedule, you can go to the instructions document, and that'll give you a step-by-step of how to complete a schedule. Also within some of the schedules, such as the SE 5000, which is your Title I Part A campus selection schedule, and your BS 6001, you have an additional button that has a report. And you'll see a button that says View Print Report. On the SE 5000, you will, after you complete or fill out the SE 5000, you can view that report to see what you've entered onto the SE 5000, and it'll also sort the report for you. On the BS 6001, you will have the same option to view and print report, and what that will tell you for your if you are a fiscal agent, it'll let you know what LEAs have selected you as a fiscal agent and who your membership is. As I said, behind every schedule, there are instructions. This is a slide that will give you quick access links to all the instructions included within the application. Also, every division has additional resources within their own division websites. The Federal Program Compliance Division websites have training videos, training slides. There are also program guides, the Consolidated Comprehensive Needs Assessment, or CCNA, and there's FAQs. In the Emergent Bilingual Support Division, Title III Part A website, they have a funding guidebook, Title III engagement website, along with FAQs. The Grant Administration Division website is where you can get what your entitlement amounts are, grant basics, applying for a grant, administering a grant, grant resources, and FAQs. And then across all programs, we have all program resources we have a program compliance self-check guide that will give you those program self-check items that are going to be included in that year's compliance reports. And then we also have the Consolidated Comprehensive Needs Assessment, or CCNA. Now I'll turn it over to Grants to go over the 5003.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Okay, now we're going to go over the SE 5003 Formula Grants Consolidated Schedule and the Applicant Designation and Certification Form for the ADC. I just wanted to remind you that the SC 5003 was open May 1st. So you want to try to get this ready and submitted as soon as possible. And just a reminder, you can't submit the ADC until you've completed the SC 5003 and submitted it. Okay, let's go over the SC 5003 Formula Grants Consolidated Schedule. We will talk about completing the Formula Grants Consolidated Schedule over the next couple of slides. Okay. The SC 5003 includes the SPED Federal, SPED State, ESSA, and Perkins grants, since this is a consolidated schedule. So just so you know, you're going to want to click on the Special Collections tab and click on the 2526 SC 5003 formula consolidated schedule in order to complete this. SC stands for Special Collections in the SC 5003. Okay, now let's go over the particular parts in parts 1 and 2. To access the SC 5003, remember you have to consolidate, since this is a consolidated schedule, with ESSA, Perkins, and SPED. So for part 1, under equitable access and participation, you can select no barriers. But if you select barriers, you're going to need to select from students, teachers, and others, and enter a description. I just wanted you to be aware that under instructions, it lists a couple of examples of descriptions for barriers. So you can go to the instructions link and find examples. There's also an add item or delete item in order to add more items under barriers. And then you must go under part 2, and there's guideline provisions and assurances that you have to review. There's also specific special guidelines and provisions and assurances that you need to click on. And then at the bottom, you're going to have to confirm that you've reviewed these information for ESSA, SPED, and Perkins. And then you'll need to certify and submit the SC 5003. So once you get to part 3, it's called certification and incorporation. So you'll need to select the authorized official. If you have not added the authorized official, you'll need to select the button where you add the authorized official. And then make sure you certify and submit the SC 5003. Okay. So once you've submitted the SC 5003, you're going to complete the applicant designation and certification form. This is also called the ADC. So to find the applicant designation and certification form, you're going to go into eGrants and go under the Grants tab, which shows grants in process, apply for eligible grants, grants in draft, grants in negotiation, submitted grants, and awarded grants. So once you've submitted the SC 5003, you're going to go under the apply for eligible grants. So once you apply for eligible grants, you're going to select the ADC form, which is the applicant designation and certification form. Under this form, you're going to complete for each fund source, how you're going to apply. And the ways you can apply is apply on own, apply as a fiscal agent of an SSA, not apply at all, or apply as a member of an SSA. So we wanted to make sure if you apply on an SSA that you know that you have to designate the fiscal agent and their CDN number. So in order to do this, the fiscal agent must complete the ADC before the member districts. And then part 2, you're going to certify and that you've reviewed the information in part 2. Okay, now we're going to go over, let me see, sorry, I think okay. So once you certified and submitted the application, then we're going to go over the functionality of the application. Under the functionality of the application, there's a status column that shows you what has been completed and what says incomplete, and then areas that are new. And then under the last update column, it will show you the last time that you updated the schedule and that it was modified. Another thing I wanted to go over is the warning and error messages. Under a warning message, if you receive that regarding the ESSA Consolidated Federal Grant application, that means you created a message that you're still able to proceed, but that may cause some issues. So like if you're in the ADC and you select 2 different designations on your ADC, it might give you a warning message that you have, that you may not, that you can proceed, but that it may be creating an error. So with a warning message, you can still proceed. With an error message, we just wanted to remind you that an error message, you cannot proceed before you correct prior to submission. There's also an error, a view errors information at the top of the schedule, and you can view your errors. If you have any questions regarding your error messages, you can reach out to your negotiator and they can assist you. And then there are links to application schedules. So under the hyperlink of each of these schedules, we just wanted to remind you that you can click on the hyperlink and it'll take you to that particular schedule. Also, I wanted to remind you that under the application, there is a delete draft section. So if you started a draft application and you need to delete that, it's next to the certify and submit button, and only the grantee official can delete the draft. Okay, next we will talk about the GS-21 information schedule, applicant information schedule. This is the first schedule in the ESSA Consolidated Grant application. Under Part 1, the organization and information is pre-populated, so you don't have to enter any information in this section. Part 2 is for the applicant contacts. So we want to make sure that when you complete this information, that the primary and secondary contacts are not the same. We also want to make sure that when you complete part 2, that you ensure that these are the applicants that will be able to contact regarding negotiation on the application. So you want to make sure that this information is up to date at all times. And remember, you can go to the Contacts tab and update this information at any time. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to go over recommended schedule order and important dates. And I do want to stress the word recommended. This is not required. So this is something that we recommend just to hopefully alleviate some frustration for LEAs when completing the application. First of all, to get started, we have the Gun-Free Schools Compliance Report, or the PR 6000, which is your district level report. Those reports are open now, and I'll go over those open dates and close dates. But you need the Gun-Free Schools district report must be submitted on eGrants prior to receiving your NOGA. If you do not receive if you do not submit the report, your NOGA will be on hold until that report has been submitted. Then do the SC 5003, which is the Formula Grants Consolidated Schedule, and Lori went over that. You would complete and certify and submit that schedule in order for the ADC for your district to open. Then you would complete your application designation and certification form, or your ADC, which is your GS 2200, and that will open your grant application. Once your grant application opens, you would need to complete your GS 2100, which is the applicant information as far as who your contacts are. And once that is submitted on the application, then all the schedules that you're eligible to complete will be available to you. First, it would be the REAP and funding transferability schedule, or the PS 3109. And that is populated based on what you have indicated on your ADC. And also it looks at the flexibility for REAP flexibility, sorry. Then complete your PS 3099 or your private nonprofit schedule, as that has a dependency on the PS 3109 REAP and funding transferability for the PS 3099. Then complete your SC 5000, as there is a dependency on the PS 3101 when you complete your SC 5000. Then complete your budget schedule, which is the BS 6001, as that also has a dependency on the Title I schedule, PS 3101. Then you can get into all your program schedules. Firstly, if you're eligible, or if you are applying for Title I Part A, you would complete your PS 3101, as that also has a dependency on what you indicated on your REAP and funding transferability schedule, your SC 5000, which is your Title I Part A campus selection schedule, and it has dependencies on your budget schedule, BS 6001. Then complete if your PS 3102, which is your Title I Part A neglected and Title I Part D subpart 2, is that has a dependency on the Title I schedule, which is the PS 3101. Then you can complete your Title II schedule, which is your PS 3104, as there's a dependency also on PS 3109, and your Title IV schedule, or your PS 3107, which has a dependency on the PS 3109, which is also your funding fund and transferability schedule. And those dependencies will look at either an allocation, whether or not you have to do a reservation, and that's why we recommend the order on how to complete the schedule to kind of prevent that having to go back and forth on the different schedules. Then you can complete the remainder of your program schedules along with all the supporting schedules that will go with your budget. And then if there is a waiver schedule, which is the WV 4001, which is a TA use only, and that will come once carryover has been calculated. Again, this is a recommended schedule. We just put this as recommended just to hopefully alleviate some of that going back and forth frustration that that you may experience while completing the application. Some important dates to remember. We are in the midst of closing out our 24-25 grant cycle. So for 24-25, we have the compliance reports, as I mentioned, the gun-free schools report, which is the PR 6000. And there's also a campus level report associated with that, which is the PR 6100. That report opened on May the 2nd of 25, and the report is due on June 30th of 25. And I do want to stress yet again that the PR 6000 or your district level report must be submitted in order for you to receive a NOGA for 25-26. The campus level report is only required if you had any gun incidences reported on your at one or more of your campuses within your district, and that is the district campus report that you would be required to submit for that one campus or campuses. Also, we'll have the ESSA Consolidated Compliance Reports, which will open on July the 29th of 25 and due on September 30th of 25. Now to move forward with a 25-26 ESSA Consolidated Federal Grant Application, which your SC 5003, which is your Formula Grants Consolidated Schedule, opened on May the 1st. And is due on May the 3rd of 25. The ADCs open for ESCs on May 13th of 25. And then the ADC for all opened on May 20th of 25, also due on September 3rd of 25. Then the grant application opened up at the same time along with, opened on May 20th of 25. And then if a district is a member of a shared service arrangement for all of the programs that they are eligible to apply for, then they are required to complete an SC 3099, which is your private nonprofit school equitable services. And that report also opened on May 20th and due September the 3rd.